All right, Scavengers, welcome to episode 31 of the Six Scale Scavengers podcast. I'm Bryan Fontaine, joined as always with my good friends TC and Chris Letty. Guys, some breaking news we got to talk about here in a little bit. We've got a great show planned for everybody. 31 episodes of the podcast, Chris. We have yet to try a live unboxing. We've done live unboxings in our Facebook group, so everybody can see here that's on YouTube. The feature figure review of this episode is going to be Obi-Wan Kenobi. Yes, a Star Wars figure is being reviewed again. MMS 477, which is a standard version. Chris, I haven't even opened it yet. I've got it right here,
Oh
and it's
man,
actually very
Shepard
minty.
Field.
Minty. Yeah. Well, I did crack the shipper just because, that I didn't want to fumble over too much, but we are gonna give that a go. So, and we're in TC. We're on the eve of New York Comic Con. We're going to talk about that in a second as well. And we're a little light on news, but it's to be understandable kind of at this point.
Oh yeah. It's light on news, but we're on the eve of New York Comic Con, so there's always something going on in the collecting world. But I'm excited. I know you guys are excited, and let's just get the show rolling.
Let's do it. So, Bryan, what did we do this past weekend?
Well, I'm stalling because I'm all over the place here, and let's see if I can manage to figure out what. Yep. All right. So, Chris, we had, I should say we, but mostly you, and I was just your lackey. But we had a toy show at Winnicott High School, which is near Hampton Beach. For those of you that are familiar with the New England area, Hampton Beach, probably one of the most popular beaches in the New England area. And as everybody can see here on the screen, this was Chris. This was your masterpiece setting up just by yourself here.
It was, yeah. I set that up all by myself, and it took me a couple hours, and in less than a half an hour is completely eradicated of most of my stock.
Wow, nice. It's good.
Yeah.
It was a good turnout by comic toy show standards. I got there about an hour in. I had coaching my son's soccer game, and this was a close up of the the 6 scale figure. You had the Iron Fist out there, and yeah, it was. Gosh, I am struggling here tonight, guys. We're just talking.
Sure.
God, we're all so tired. It's 9:30 on the East Coast, and actually a little late because I'm still getting all the notes together here. But yeah, it was awesome, and I'm stalling here because I wanted to find the right picture here.
No, but it's cool to see you guys.
This is what I was looking for.
Oh yeah.
So yeah, toy shows are fun. It's nice to sell stuff, to purge, as we talk about all the time here. But hanging out with the Scavengers, you and I, Chris, although we live about an hour apart in the same state, we usually don't see each other all that often. Talk daily. I mean, you and I and TC, we're all talking multiple times per day.
Oh yeah.
But getting a chance to hang out, and most importantly, everybody can see here on the screen too, we had a chance to connect with Raul, and we've talked about Raul a couple times in the past. We've gone, and you guys saw a movie together. We were able to see Captain Marvel, and the stories this guy has is just awesome. I probably spent more time talking to him, Chris, than I was actually helping you out sell stuff. But it was great for him to stop by with his wife and kids, and he came back afterwards with some stuff to sell, of his own. And we're just we met your buddy Kevin Mann. That was awesome. Hadn't had a chance to meet him. He's up in Maine, and he had a lot of good stuff. My son cleaned up with Transformers there.
Killer deals.
You were giving away the killer deals. I think I sold most of the stuff I brought, but yeah, it's so cool. Again, I'm going to sound like a broken record, but it's cool to collect hot toys. It's cool to get stuff, but to talk to people about it, just like we did this past weekend. And as we're able to do on this show and on the Assemble and Rogue One 6, that's what it's all about to me.
Oh yeah, I always encourage, if there's collectors within a reasonable distance of each other, just just coordinate something. Just hanging out at a diner or something. Even think about, hey, maybe if we just get together, we could record the conversation. We could just hang out, just do whatever. But I encourage collectors to just break out of their comfort zone and just go and meet up with other fellow collectors. It's just a great time. Oh, and Raul totally hooked us up.
Oh, yeah. So he's got to hook up with somebody he knows that is into Mondo posters, either is into them or can help get them. So, Chris, I didn't get a picture of the one that you got from Civil War, but on screen here, Raul, so generous. It gave us each a 36 by 24 Mondo poster print. This one is Captain America, the First Avenger, and you guys probably can't see it because it's above my left shoulder here, but I have got, Chris, you were able to get me the movie poster for that.
Yeah.
So I've got a nice little First Avenger theme going here, but yeah, I can with one of these in hand now, TC, I can see why people go crazy for these Mondo prints.
I mean, yeah, they look amazing. I've never owned one. I can only judge by the pictures I see, but I think they're well worth the money.
Yeah, the artists just do an amazing job on those images and everything. So yeah, thanks, Raul. I mean, the Civil War one is awesome. I'll have to post a picture of that at some point. Still recovering from the aftermath of the toy show, but yeah, I mean,
the New Hampshire Comic-Con.
Yeah, might as well have been.
Yeah, but no, I envy you guys getting the opportunity to meet up with Raul and just getting to hang out and chat and have a good time. The closest thing that I've ever done to anything like that is go to Walmart, search the shelves, but
bump into another collector there.
Right, and yeah, and
well,
usually it's two of us.
I saw him out in the chat a little bit ago, but our friend Sean's going to be in Atlanta, for some. Work related stuff. But yeah, if you guys could connect, that would be even epic. I mean, no offense, Chris, but I'd rather meet Sean.
Yeah, definitely.
Yeah, but it sounded like a great time and it looked like you guys had an awesome time. So that's awesome.
Absolutely.
Yeah,
so.
And I think, with Newark Comic-Con coming up, I know a number of our listeners and group members and stuff are going to have the chance to go to the con, and hopefully they'll be able to meet up and post a lot of pictures and inside scoop on what's going down there. But yeah, I wish I could make it. Not going to happen, But what do you guys thoughts on the con?
I mean, go ahead, Brian.
Yeah, go ahead. Yeah, you were ready to go.
I've never been, but I've been to New York a few times, and it just, based on the setup, it looks like you can make it even a bigger trip than just going to the actual con event. It's right in Manhattan, near Times Square. There's tons of stuff to do. Go check out a Broadway play. Check out the Natural Museum of Art. The Museum of Natural History. And you could go to Central Park, go get some good to eat. Just walk the streets and just have a good time outside of the events, but I'm sure inside the event is also something sweet. It just seems like a nice event. I've never been to San Diego Comic-Con either, but this one just seems like it's maybe a little easier to navigate the city life besides the event.
Yeah, I've heard it is crazy. It is there's just a lot of stuff going on with all the manufacturers and the vendors and everything like that. And I mean, it's a great time of year, and New York's not that far away from us. So it
four or 5 hours, yeah.
Yeah,
it's drivable.
It's drivable, but it's like if you time getting into New York at the wrong time on the George Washington Bridge, like it can turn into like a 7-hour trip. So,
yeah, I used to live in Philly, and I had a friend, or I still have a friend. He still lives in New York. I would visit him, and I would just take the bus from Philly to, I believe it was, Chinatown in New York, and then I would just take the subway up to Times Square, and it was pretty sweet. I'd like to go back, but those are some good times. So I can definitely see why people want to make that trip.
Yeah, and we're going to talk about it in 2 nights from now. On Thursday, we're going to get a special Scavengers assemble, excuse me, and hopefully we'll have a couple releases. And I know, as we're going to talk about right now, with news, there's not really a whole lot out there, but Sideshow does have a presence there, and they will be displaying Hot Toys. We don't know if they're going to be just displaying stuff that they've already shown, maybe at San Diego Comic-Con. I seem to recall that they do show some newer stuff, but not necessarily announcing them. So, regardless, if we have some cool stuff to talk about on Thursday with the admin team, great. If not, I'm sure we can come up with plenty to talk about. And although it's hard to top the last assemble with Yost and hearing all about his stuff with Jazz Inc. I gobbled all that stuff up. That was stupendous.
I wanted to be on that one. Jealous.
Yeah, it was fun. No, it was fun. Yeah. I really enjoyed it, and yes, he's a great guy, and he loves what he does, and he loves sharing what he does. So it made it all that much better.
All right, absolute guys. So let's talk news, and it's Spider-Man Far From Home release day. I know it was out on digital, I think, last week, and I've been trying to hold out for the 4K releases lately, and thankfully, I know there's some plans for like a box set coming up for the Infinity Saga, but also today, just like they did when Endgame came out, they released an additional. Like before, they had done the Iron Man trilogy and the first 2 Thors. Well, today they used the opportunity to get all the rest of the movies that were in the MCU on 4K. So we got Doctor Strange, Guardians of the Galaxy, and Ant-Man. So I had to pick those up too. I mean, why not? I mean, while I'm already there. Although I went to Best Buy, and I just figure now, like, people don't buy physical media at all. They were sold out of Guardians of the Galaxy there. I had to walk just the next store over to go to Target and hunted for Guardians, and it was tucked on like this bottom shelf. I was just about to give up hope that I wasn't going to get Guardians today, but I did.
Someone tried to hide it, and then you found their hiding place. You took it.
The old hiding the toy trick in a different aisle.
Yeah, I mean, I'm glad we don't have to worry about that with a lot of the Hasbro stuff with the Hot Toys. But yeah, so I picked it up. I did have I had all these previously through iTunes, so I didn't need the digital code. So I made an executive decision as one of the co-founders of the podcast. We have such a great collecting community out there, and I had 3 extra digital codes. And so I threw it out into our Facebook group just as a random thing. Wasn't planned at all. I just said, hey, I've got 3 codes. I'll announce a winner of each on the podcast recording tonight. And the entry was just, hey, which one do you want? And I'll make a list, and we'll go from there. So we had a couple people that signed up. So I'm going to go through. I've already randomly drawn all the names just because I didn't want to have to fumble through a random number generator while I was on here. So we had 4 people for Guardians, 4 people for Ant-Man, and we had 6 people for Doctor Strange. So went ahead and pulled those. So TC, Chris, anybody want to give me a drum roll here? Nice. That is better than even a soundboard if we had one here. So, all right. So I guess I'll go on order of the screen here. So first, our winner of the Guardians of the Galaxy, and also too, as when I name the names off here, guys, just hit me up in the Facebook group afterwards, or send me a private message on Facebook, and I will I'll send you a snapshot of the code and stuff, so I don't have to worry about mailing it to you, and go from there. So it is a particular order here because I'm going to go in order on the screen. So Guardians of the Galaxy up first. Our first winner is PJ Relova, the plastic. Oh gosh, Chris, what's his Instagram handle?
Plastic Heroes and Villains.
There you go.
Yeah.
So great. I mean, he's
Right.
active in our community. He's active in a lot of communities. He's a great member of the 6-scale community. So PJ, we're going to hook you up with a digital code for Guardians of the Galaxy. Next up on the screen, we've got Ant-Man. Winner of that one was Jeff Therian, very active member of the community. So Jeff, I'll hook you up with Ant-Man. And then finally, Doctor Strange. And our winner is, God, Austin, I'm going to probably butcher your last name here. I'm going to try. So Austin Boutnech. I think I said it right, but if not, oh well. Thanks again for being a part of the member. I think he's relatively new to the podcast Facebook group, the 6-scale Scavenger Collector group there. So guys, congratulations. Thanks. It basically just thanks for being an active member of the community. And I'll hook you up with those after the show or tomorrow when I get around to it. But drop me a note. So guys, very exciting stuff there with the releases. I think I've got, all right.
Hold on, one note about the the release. You guys got to watch the little Spider-Man short film, because there's some vintage Kenner Star Wars references in there. So
is that an extra? What is that?
It is
short film. Okay,
it is. Yep, it's definitely worth. It's what I think was added to the extended release, theatrical release. So anyway, go ahead.
Very cool. Also, I know there's a bunch of people in our community, like I do, like I am, because I can't speak tonight apparently. The Marvel Studios Art of books. So the Spider-Man Far From Home book dropped today. I told you guys over the weekend. I forgot I remembered I pre-ordered it, but for some reason I thought it was coming in like November. So that shipped, and I got that today. I know there's a couple other guys in the group like Jeff and some others that got this as well. So I did take the plastic wrap off, but I haven't actually looked through it yet. But I know fans of this guy might be a little definitely looking forward to seeing how they arrived with the Mysterio costume, because I think, as we've talked about at length, I know Allison in particular has really just raved about how well they translated Mysterio from comic page to screen. And there's something about the Art of books that I just love. I mean, it goes back way, way, way far back to when I was a kid and getting the Art of the original trilogy of Star Wars, New Hope, Empire Strikes Back, Return of the Jedi. And I would just look through those books. I still have them. They're on my shelf now. I'm surprised they're in as good as condition as they are, because I read them a lot.
No, these things go out. They can sell out pretty quickly. I was looking for the Infinity War one, and it's nowhere to be found except on eBay, and it's at least $100.
That is crazy. There are some that are really rare. I know the Doctor Strange one is rare. The Winter Soldier one, and it's just like, the thing is if you pre-order, so what it is the retail price on them is $50, and that's what it'll be on the back of the book. But usually if you pre-order it, you get locked in at whatever the lowest price is. So I think I got the Spider-Man one for like 42 and some change. But you're right. Once it's like, air quotes, like out of print, and they're not making any new ones, you're the luck of the draw, or you get lucky like Chris and you get one for like $10 at a local comic shop.
Score. Right place, right time, man.
Yeah, it's weird too, because I mean, obviously we don't know the print runs on them, but some of them sell out. Like the Spider-Man Homecoming version is still readily available for $40, maybe even a little cheaper. But like I said, the Infinity War version's long gone, but you would think that they would make more. But I guess just that many more people want it. I don't know. It's just interesting.
Yeah. Oh, what's this?
All right, guys. Breaking news. Within, not that it caused tons of delays for me getting ready for the show. We prepare as much of this as we can in advance, but just trying to make this a multimedia podcast now, I have a tendency to sometimes run out of time, and getting a lot of the images and stuff, especially for the feature figure reviews. So we haven't even had chance, outside of a couple messages back and forth between our little group here and our private messages and stuff, So, Chris, you got an email, as did a lot of people in our group, that Bucky Barnes will be arriving in the Sideshow warehouse 7 days from now, October 8th, and make sure that you've got all your changes made by Monday, October 7th. So, we were going to talk a little bit about some of the yesterday. We just a lot of people got a lot of delayed emails, and given what's going on in Hong Kong right now, we're not going to really get into that too much, but we're certainly not going to act like a bunch of spoiled brats and act like where's our toys, because obviously there's a lot of real world implications going on there. But this one surprised me, because this is not a figure that, at least as of now, we have seen, released at Secret Base in Hong Kong. TC, you were speculating that this might be a dual release, or there's some that have speculated too, just because of what's going on. Maybe they'll get a lot of the top Instagrammers like BG Toy Art, etc., to take photos of this, but maybe it drops in the United States first before it's available in Hong Kong. I don't know. I don't really want to speculate too much about that, because obviously I don't really have any inside knowledge, and I certainly don't want to just guess. But I don't know, TC. I mean, you said it before we hit air. I mean, we could actually get this figure and open it before we even know what it really looks like, which is odd for us.
Yeah, we could. Actually, I was thinking about that, but probably won't happen. I mean, there's at least 10 days, 14 days, 14 days for most people before they can get it from Sideshow. So it'll probably pop up on the Hot Toys Facebook page sooner than later. But I mean, yeah, it's another one of those rare cases where the United States is getting a simultaneous or a very close subsequent release to Hong Kong. And it's just exciting. I know, like you said, there's a lot of serious stuff going on in Hong Kong with all the protests. So while it was somewhat disappointing that there are delay emails, we can understand, but this was something nice to kind of, lift everyone's moods about it. But I'm looking forward to it, and I know, Chris, you are too. What are your thoughts?
Oh, hold on, Chris, before we go over to you, I know Sean posted in our group that he had checked with Sideshow. He did their chat, and they confirmed it is legit. This is not an email error, that they are going to have it, and they've been told that they're going to have it. So they are then making sure that everybody is notified that, if you're, especially if on a one-time payment plan, that, one-time payment, that it's going to hit soon.
Yeah, it is. I was surprised, especially breaking news right before we're about to record. It's usually afterwards, but I'm excited. I don't have a Bucky figure or Winter Soldier figure in my collection yet, and the prototypes and everything look awesome. So it'll be interesting to see some of the final product images in the next week or two, just to get a better idea of what we're getting. I posted the same thing on Tashi, and Jenkin Wong had commented and stuff, and I said it's like it's all backwards. Like, we don't know what to do when with the possibility of us getting it before them. It's usually out months and months before us.
We have a specific regimen. It's very rigid. You see the release photos from Hong Kong, then you wait a month, and then you look forward to the emails. This is blowing our minds. But yeah, I'm looking forward to it too. I don't have either of the prior releases for Bucky or Winter Soldier, and this one obviously looks better just because it's newer. But it's gonna be great to kind of put a cap on that Infinity War collection.
Yeah, and I know it's not. We don't have it in our notes here, but I think Justice League Batman, the same people are getting the same email for that figure too, same exact date and everything. So it must be coming on the same shipment. But
that one was the last one that got released in Hong Kong, right? That was like August 26th or 28th.
I think so.
Yeah, it was.
So I know Steve wants to talk about this on the Assemble, so we'll go. I'll just say in general is, obviously, anybody that had figures pre-ordered, if you're listening to this podcast, either you love Hot Toys or you've got a lot of pre-orders and stuff out there yourself. So you probably got a lot of those emails.
Mm-hmm.
You know, we'll talk about, because Steve has a whole spreadsheet and he's been updating it. I mean, the one post that he had on our group already had something like 45 updates or 45 comments from different people in the community, just kind of updating and things and they're seeing with the different figures. And I think he was able to crowdsource almost everything we had a question about with somebody in our community. And we've only got, I think we're up to 179 members now, which I'm still surprised it's more than 10, but I just say in general, we didn't really expect a whole lot to get released because of what's going on. And I don't know, there's a little theory that I had and some others going around too, that maybe because there's a lot of stuff in stock on Sideshow right now, like people are looking for like that fix to get a new figure. And, especially if it's going to be maybe late November, December for a lot of collectors get something, they could make a boneheaded move like I did and go ahead and order something in stock.
They could. And I was also looking.
I know plans are.
Go ahead, Chris.
I know. I was too.
We were all looking, and then all of a sudden I got the email, and I was like, I'm not going to look anymore. I'm just going to hold off.
Yeah. Gotta shift.
Shift gears quickly.
Shift gears definitely quickly.
Budget.
Cancel the transaction.
It was so, yeah. No, we've talked about it before too, but we have like a whole admin chat, and Chris, Steve shot you down really quick because you're like, oh, well, all these delays mean I've got more money to spend right now. And Steve was something along the lines of, well, Chris, maybe the prudent thing to do would be to save that money you've already earmarked versus spending. Just because it's delayed still means you need to spend it eventually.
I don't know. I was just joking around. I said, what does that mean? Save money? I don't know what that means. I mean, I'm blowing as much money as I possibly can with this house build. So, what's the difference with the collection?
It's true. That's exactly right.
So we got a lot figured. We're not going to go through every one of these because it is a lot. As you were compiling the list, it just went on and on and on and on. We'll talk about it on Thursday. But TC, you did find that rather interesting. Outside of some of the figures that have sold out, I mean, surprisingly, it took Black Widow forever to be off the site. But what's going on with that Infinity War line?
Yeah, other than the Black Widow and then Groot and Rocket, pretty much every Infinity War figure is in stock that's been officially released. With the addition of the War Machine Mark IV, the collector's edition and exclusive, that's now, both of those are now in stock at Sideshow. All the Iron Man Mark 50s, I guess the first couple runs are in stock. Obviously Thanos and Hulkbuster and Captain America is still in stock, although the collector's edition for Captain America says it's low stock, but I think it's had that for a while, that little notification. I don't know if it's actually true or not, but most of it, if not all of it's in stock, so you can just go on Sideshow and you can order it through them and have it within a week.
Yeah, and there's a lot of Star Wars figures that are in stock too.
There's a lot of Star Wars figures in stock with some free shipping.
Yes, there is.
Bonuses. Yep. So you can definitely take advantage of that as well.
Yep. I don't know. Like, I know we've already reviewed the Mark IV War Machine. Both, I think we've reviewed the special edition one. There's not really any difference outside of the Outrider that's included there, but it's not really calling a shot too much. But I think once that figure does eventually sell out, that's going to be like the next one that approaches like that Mark VI territory, where for the Iron Man Mark VI, where it might hit double retail once it does sell out. And I don't think it's ever going to get to like 3 times retail, but especially given the cost. But I mean, I can easily see it getting 750, 800 eventually. I'm not advocating for anybody to go out and buy an extra one to flip it, because that's not what we're all about as scavengers. That's not really, I mean, that's just taking advantage of people. If you have a figure in your collection and it's one you don't want anymore, it just happens to be, worth a lot, then sell it and then capitalize on that. But if you have, I don't know. I can't really sit here and condone that.
Yeah, I think though what might hold that one back a little bit is just the sheer fact that there are more coming. So you have the Mark 6 is on the way, and then the Iron Patriot.
Yeah.
So even it will, like you said, hit double probably, but I think it may take a little longer just because the other stuff's on the way. But I guess it also depends when they actually release the other versions. If those are just kind of sitting out in limbo, the demand for the Mark IV will just continue to increase.
All right, guys, let's flip gears, switch gears. Do you really flip gears? That doesn't make even any sense. Let's switch gears. And TC, we'll start with you for our collection update.
Okay, collection update. Nothing too exciting. I'm going to reveal something on the next podcast that's really exciting, so you have to stay tuned for that. But for now, I'm just selling a couple figures. I'm selling my Loki figure from Thor Ragnarok, and then also, kind of sadly, my Neon Tech Iron Man Mark IV. I know I pre-ordered the Mark VI, which has now been canceled, but I just had a problem with buying the Mark VI in the end when I don't have the original Mark VI, and having the Neon as my sole representation of the figure. And when it comes down to it, everyone knows the cost of these figures. If you cancel the one and sell the other one, obviously that's a huge, boost to one's budget and one's ability to get some of these other figures that are coming on the way, like Stan Lee and Scarlet Spider, and then obviously Bucky, which has just been released. So it frees up a lot of spare money, and so I think it's wise. I'm not going to go for the Neon Tech War Machine because I don't have the War Machine Mark 1. So at the end, it was either keeping the Mark IV or just selling it off with the rest of the figures that I want to get rid of. And then, like I said before, I have a special order that I made last weekend after a specific episode of the Scavengers Assemble. And I'll reveal that next week. I just want to make sure that everything's has a bow on it and is ready to go before I want to reveal that. I just want to make sure everything is... I'm crossing my T's, dotting my I's, so...
I tell you what, anybody watching this video now, just looking at the smirk that Chris and I have right now. But we will respect your privacy, my friend. All right, Chris, what do you got going on outside of getting rid of everything in your basement this past weekend at that toy show?
Yeah, that was the big thing. The toy show was a good excuse to do a massive purge of, stuff I've collected over the last 25 plus years. Really knocked out a lot of that, and it's motivated me to get back on the eBay train and just start cranking out listings and just trying to rebuild that, the slush fund for collectibles. So yeah, I'm going to be doing a lot of that stuff. Not really any 6 scale stuff. I got plenty of collectibles to sell. I don't need to dip into that, into the Hot Toys collection. But I also got the Toys Era Nightmare / Nightcrawler in hand, and I have yet to break the seal on the shipper box. I'm hoping that I'll have time tomorrow evening to do a Facebook Live unboxing.
Ooh.
Yeah, we'll see how that goes. I'm not the greatest at creating, going off script, but and then
just take all your notes from Matt. He's a pro.
No, take it from Bryan.
Yeah, don't. Matt's the one. He consumes all the live unboxings, and he also does most of them all himself. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah, and then just Scarlet Spider should be arriving any day now. And then the one thing is I may be dipping my toes into that the dark side at some point.
Only took 31 episodes to finally convince you.
I'm plotting out my plan. I mean, this Bucky release has shifted things, but let's just say got to pay some bills, and then after that, there's going to be some figures purchased. But anyway, looking forward to getting into that arena. And speaking of that arena, what's going on with you, Bryan?
Yeah. So it continues.
This guy did not dip his toes. He's in the pool.
I jumped back in. I
belly
even
flop right in.
so I'm gonna jump around here a lot because all the order of how I put this in the notes, and as we were building the notes, I added to more of it as I was going along. So I did talk about it last time, so everybody knows. Anybody that missed last episode, oh, by the way, I'm collecting Star Wars again. I know that surprised the heck of a lot of people in the group, and you could see who had already listened to the episode or not, or who just loves the chatter that doesn't really tune in. But regardless, it still is a really good community. So I talked about ordering Dark Side Anakin, Obi-Wan, our feature review figure, and Maul DX16. Those all did arrive. I've got you guys can't see it because it's off camera here. I have a whole stack of boxes that I so busy with work and a new job at work that I've just and coaching soccer. I just haven't felt up. That it could be a whole topic for another day. I know we're gonna do the live unboxing, but it's just sometimes like you got to be in the mood to unbox stuff, and I don't want to shortchange it. It's an experience to open a hot toy figure. You don't want to just kind of haphazardly go through it. So those arrived. Let's see. As I just mentioned a little bit ago, with some of those in stock figures. So again, adding to some of the moments and scenes that I'm going for, Kylo Ren, Last Jedi, Yoda from Attack of the Clones. Just ordered those from Sideshow yesterday because I've been selling some figures. So those will hopefully be in by the next time we record our next episode. Collecting Weekly Ox Auxiliary. So I know Zach, our friend over there, has got a little hashtag saying shop Ox. Well, I did. And Manny over there, who's been on their podcast, was listing a few Star Wars figures and listed a Kylo Ren for a really good deal. I mean, far less than retail and really good from shipping price. So I reached out to him and we worked something out. So I've got that as well. That is going to go with the Rey and BB-8 set that I telegraphed the last episode that I was going to get because of the bonus, netting that to $140. That extra credit, store credit's going to be going to pay for my Optimus 3A figure later this year. So that's already earmarked. You can't spend that on more Star Wars figures there. I've been kind of checking eBay for deals and stuff like that. I ended up sniping a brand new Luke Skywalker, The Last Jedi standard version for probably $100 off retail. So that's kind of not, I mean, that was hard to pass up. That ended up working out. And Mark Pearson, our good buddy in Pennsylvania. So everybody knows basically there was a highway all the way from here down there with a lot of my figures. And he messaged me and he said, "Hey, I'm glad you're back. You know, hey, if you want to buy any of your figures back, I almost have to let you because you gave me screaming deals on all of them." And I was like, "I can't do that to you, buddy." But then the more I thought about it, I know that he was looking for the base that came with Dark Side Anakin. So we kind of worked out a semi-trade, but I still sent him a lot of money back that he originally sent me. So I ended up back with my Rey from The Last Jedi that arrived. It was weird. Everybody in the group was making fun of me for buying a figure back I had already sold, but you know, it
on second thought, buddy.
On second thought. So so that's great. And I think he's posted any photos in the group, but the base on that does look really cool. Let's see. And then to fund some of that, I have been going through and selling part of my collection. I know last time out I talked about selling the MF figure. So I did sell my 2 figures from Captain America, the Winter Soldier. I sent my Black Widow Winter Soldier to Steve on the team here, and that arrived, gave him a screaming deal. I also sold my Falcon from Winter Soldier on 1/6 Republic Buy Sell Trade. Got a decent amount for that, maybe a little bit lower than what some of the eBay stuff was going, but was kind of looking to make a semi-quick sale. And then finally, I talked about letting this figure go, the Doctor Strange from his solo film. And I had sold some of the parts out previously. I had sold the book of, I can't ever say it. And then, yeah, thanks, Chris. And then his backdrop and the stand separately. So when I was looking at what I had left, it was basically just the figure. and some of the accessories, and I was talking to you guys, and you guys kind of convinced me to just part the figure out, because instead of selling it for what it was lacking in whatever price it was, like sometimes if you part the figure out, you can actually make more, just because it's more desirable for some of those parts individually for people that are looking for them versus the whole entire figure. So by doing that, I think I was going to give a really screaming deal to somebody in the group if they wanted it. And I think I ended up selling for probably $50 to $60 more than that when I combine everything together. Sold the cloak separately to somebody in the group, and then the rest of those went on eBay. I sold the head sculpt separately, and then the body and all the rest of the accessories. So first time I'd really done that, and in the future, it's something to consider if you're somebody like me that you've sold accessories. I know some of that gives people in our group heart palpitations that are OCD a little bit. They're like, how can you get rid of parts of a figure? It's not it's incomplete now. Well, if you do that, you can part the figure out.
Yeah, and it worked well for Doctor Strange because all of his stuff is top quality. So the head sculpt is very desirable. So that's why it worked out really well for that one. And I'm glad it did. That's awesome.
So that will be going to fund some of that stuff. And now I'm going to be waiting for Bucky, and who knows? But I'm still, I know anybody that missed the last episode, I'm really trying to go for moments and scenes from the saga films and stuff that really resonate with me. So when I look at the figure on the shelf, I'm kind of reminded of those moments. So I'm probably not going to be getting a ton of background characters and stuff, but it's something that I feel like will allow me to dip my toe back into Star Wars. I never really stopped loving Star Wars, but I mean, Marvel just kind of captured my heart for quite a while here. Now, I think it's important to kind of have both, because you can kind of shift focus between the two, and you don't really get oversaturated on one or burnt out on the other if you kind of have that opportunity to kind of flip back and forth. Even if you take little breaks in between as a fan and in fandom, you come back to it and you're reminded why you loved it in the first place. And I think that's really what's happening. I know our friend Robert in the group, he felt like he didn't really explain himself well in some of the comments of me being back, but he had said, like, if he did what I did, he would have ended up doing the same thing and probably trying to get some of the figures back. And he's kind of basically talked himself into being glad that he didn't do it in the first place. So, and it just reminds me too, I know Milo was poking fun at me too. I did ended up, because I parted the heck out of my Luke Skywalker Return of the Jedi figure, and I was able to repurchase, not the ones I'd sold, but different ones. The lightsaber hilt with the battery arm and the lightsaber blades that I had been lacking, because I really love to, whenever they release Darth Vader from Return of the Jedi, to create that epic scene. And speaking of Raul, I know we talked about him in the beginning. He had a great post the other day looking for what everybody thought like their best Darth Vader figure was. And man, we got a lot of traction on that. There was a lot of good conversation. And I think, Chris, what did everybody land on? It was basically, I know people out there love to do a lot of mods and kind of combine things together, but I think the overwhelming consensus was the Vader that's included with the Tarkin set.
Yep. I actually, it's funny that Raul brought that up, because I was messaging Zach from Collecting Weekly the other day, because I'm trying to get my game plan down, and that's kind of that's the one that he said it's a great starting point, and it's a good combination of the A New Hope one and the Rogue one. It's kind of a combination of the two. So yeah, that's the one I'm gonna go after, is that Vader and Tarkin 2-pack, I think.
If you ever are really wondering about how fanatic people can get about Darth Vader, there's so many little differences between film to film, even the lightsaber hilt, film to film, the mask, the chest plate and stuff like that, that it definitely, I mean, there was time jumps between each of the films, so obviously his suit can change like a little bit, but I think it's, part of it was just how the films were made, and they've kind of retconned some of that stuff now. But yeah, you're right. It's kind of fascinating to kind of figure out like what would be what would be the ideal Vader. And I think the only reason I'm kind of holding out for eventually the Return of the Jedi one, I have to think they're going to make one in 6-scale form. I know the quarter scale Vader's coming out, would be the removable helmet for for the Anakin. And
we'll see it.
It's coming.
The next year and a half or so. We'll definitely be seeing that one, and that's one that I would be looking at too.
Yeah, actually, I'm actually not a fan of the Empire Strikes Back version. I have held that in my hand, and the way the helmet, like you can take off the top of the helmet and show the underside of it, it just comes off so easily anytime you try and move the figure to repose it, and it can fall and scratch, and that's one of my least favorite parts about it. But overall, it's a nice piece, but it's just that part really does bug me. But the revised, I guess, A New Hope version that comes with Tarkin, it has those new gloves. The original A New Hope version had those cloth versions, and those kind of over time could wear out. So this is a nice upgrade.
Yeah, I watched just yesterday Justin's collections. His comparison video is like from a year ago or something, but a lot of good side by side points with the Vaders and stuff. But yeah, it's fun figuring this stuff out.
All right, guys, what do you say? Oop, that's not what I'm looking for. Pay no attention to that screen prompt that just went up. I guess apparently I edited it and didn't save what I intended here. So I don't know, guys. What do you think? Live unboxing Obi-Wan Kenobi here.
Let's go for it. Let's see what happens.
All right. So I might need you guys, because my head's going to be away from the mic a little bit. I might need you guys to kind of carry the audio here for a little bit.
Disaster.
This is going to be so bad.
Oh, look at that! Right, up close.
Yeah. I mean, look at this. Steve, look at this minty fresh shipper box. This is how you get it from Big Bad Toy Store. That's where I got it from. So interestingly enough, on Sideshow, the standard version of this is sold out.
Yeah.
And they do still have the deluxe, and it is still available on Big Bad Toy Store. So I did crack the shipper tape just because I figured that was going to make a ton of noise if I tried to do that on air. But see if I can actually, this is not going to work so well, guys, but at least you guys will get my firsthand reactions of this. I don't know how much of this I'll actually be able to capture on the screen.
So Brian, are you going to get back the original Obi-Wan Alec Guinness version?
I had
so
it.
You have both?
Yeah, I had it and I sold it to Mark, but I don't have the heart to. Take that one back from him. So I'm actually, I'm still on the lookout for one. I know we were talking to Raul. He's heading to, I think, Japan, Chris, soon, and I've heard that that's a figure that can kind of be somewhat available over there, and so I've got him on the lookout if he's finds a decent deal. But yeah, we'll see. It's kind of sacrilegious to say it, and Chris, you probably would agree with me. I kind of prefer Ewan McGregor's Obi-Wan to Alec Guinness's, but you got more of him. You saw him in action and stuff. But let's see. I
agree with you too. I agree. I like the Ewan McGregor one.
Oh, and especially with the with him coming back, it just kind of gets you going with his rendition of Obi-Wan there. But and so is Rogue One 6, are they going to be doing the old reviewing
Yeah, so it's funny. So we asked our community what they wanted us to see. Was it going to be Maul, Kenobi, or was it going to be Scarlet Spider? And we decided to hold off on Scarlet Spider because you guys didn't have it yet, and I've had it for a couple episodes now because I won PJ the Paradox Nerds contest or waffle there, and I really want you guys to both have it in hand. We do that. So when we looked at the Star Wars figures, and obviously Maul was overwhelmingly the favorite, but I was talking to Roy, and they're going to be doing Old Man Obi-Wan Kenobi, and he thought it'd be cool to kind of do them kind of side by side. So that's why we are landed there. So artwork inside, I know I had it on screen here, but I love all the Star Wars boxes are just very boring, but the fact that they now have that little like cigar strip on the bottom with the different artwork and stuff, it really kind of makes it pop. Wow, this looks awesome. It's amazing.
Look at that analysis.
I know. If you said this looks horrible, and then you just drop it on the floor and leave the room,
Like that would be entertaining.
I'm selling it. So obviously, the hands with the battery lightsaber part there.
Start thinking of your pricing of your accessories.
I think Mark sold his battle droid parts for like $20 to $25 on eBay, so we'll see.
So just to chime in, did we go over the specs yet on this figure?
Well, so I was gonna we're gonna do the review afterwards. I just kind of wanted some initial.
I tell you one thing though, that
I love his lightsaber hilt is one of my favorite, and obviously it's probably why I love Luke's in Return of the Jedi, because it was basically an unused prop from A New Hope that they used and tried to, he tried to base his lightsaber on one of Obi-Wan's from previous. So I just love that design. Man, the tailoring on this is just phenomenal. The material. I know. So when we do get to the review part, Roy did share some thoughts with me that I want to include, and he actually did score the figure as well. So I want to make sure that I include that as well too.
Give us a verdict. How's the hair?
It's awesome. I was really concerned about. Well, the thing is, you guys see this in pictures and stuff, and depending on the lighting and stuff, it's to me doesn't really. It's one of those figures that if you don't, and Roy shared some thoughts with me too, depending on how you light it and photograph it, it can look like him or it might not at all. But having it in hand eases any concerns that I had whatsoever. I know it's not going to show up very well on my 720p webcam.
To me, that looks great. I know people complained about it, but you're not going to get the exact photograph of the actor. I mean, it's very close. I don't know, lighting or not, it looks like a good sculpt to me.
I mean, just instantly right outside of the box, and there's a whole bunch of like plastic wrap on the boots and stuff like here. One thing that I have had concerns with in previous Star Wars figures is, let's see if I can get her on camera here. So like sometimes like the backside of the ankle boots and stuff, sometimes if there's not enough material like in the ankle, like it can look really indented and you can tell like it's not one of the Rey figures I had, it was like the back of the ankle was like kind of pressed in, and I think it just needs probably just, I don't even know if you'd call it a mod, but just either getting something in there to push it in so you can fluff it out a little bit, or potentially taking it off, maybe filling it with like a cotton swab or something like that, just to give it a little bit more mass inside there. But I mean, the clothing material on this stuff is great. I think my main concern opening this figure, guys, that off the cuff, I was going to be like, all right, well, that face sculpt is, I'm not sure. It's very good.
How's the mustache area look?
Not as dark as you would think in some of the photographs.
Mm-hmm.
It's him.
It has that cool inner lining, doesn't it? The polyester lining on the inside of the cloak.
Yep. Yeah. It's the material and stuff is that. Yeah. It's just that's awesome. So obviously I don't know, probably not the best thing to do live on a podcast. It's probably better suited for a Facebook Live. Well, we're trying not to do good audio here, but anyways, just overall thoughts. I can't really wait to get this figure posed, especially set up with my Dark Side Anakin. And first impression is obviously it's hard to do a full scale review because I obviously just opened it, but the figure's been out since it was April that it released in Hong Kong, and people here have had it available for several months.
Cool.
So are you going to pair that with, you said you're going to pair that with Anakin? What about Cody? Is he going to be involved, or is that a side character?
That's the tough one. Chris is laughing here. I kind of want to see how the last season of Clone Wars plays out, to be honest. I
See if he
somehow,
factors in.
yeah, if he does, that might. I know I talked about it a couple episodes ago, but hearing PJ the Paradox Nerd talk about Revenge of the Sith, and I guess I forget how high that would probably be on a list of the movies. I mean, I'm certainly not a prequel hater by any means. I've actually been starting to go back through the films in preparation for Rise of Skywalker, and I started with Phantom Menace, and my son's been sitting there watching both of the film. I've up to I think halfway through Attack of the Clones now at this point, and he's loving it. I mean, you have to take them for what they are. It's meant to be kids' entertainment. The dialogue is cheesy. You just have to get used to it. They're not trying to win an Oscar or anything. And I mean, the action scenes are just I don't know. I feel like a kid again.
Well, they got better. I mean, obviously, and Revenge of the Sith is actually good. It's actually a good movie.
Yeah,
so
you're not gonna find many people that will disagree with
that.
Means
so that means you got to get, what is it, the Airborne Trooper? Is that what it is?
No, I'm not getting that crazy.
Whatever the other ones are, I can't remember. I don't know the other two.
You got to get each legion, a representative from each legion. You got to get.
Yeah, remember dip and toe in
Grievous,
here, guys.
Grievous.
I gotta say, like, this is kind of off a little tangent, but the audiobook for Revenge of the Sith is just, it is so amazing, and it adds so many details that the movie doesn't have. And watching Revenge of the Sith after listening to that, it really fills in so many gaps and everything, and like you said, there's just it made me appreciate that movie so much more. But that's before I listened to that, I was like, yeah, Revenge of the Sith, just the end scene is great with Anakin and Obi-Wan, but afterwards, like, it's emotional, and like adds that emotional weight to it and everything. So yeah, I can see why this is one of your top scenes, in Star Wars.
Sorry. All right, before we get on track with the review here, I just was scrolling back through the comments, and it looked like Mark was having mild heart palpitations. He thought I was going to ask for old man Kenobi back on the podcast.
Don't give it to him, Mark.
I wouldn't do that to you, buddy. That was
nope.
So. All right, guys, we are going to get into the feature figure review here, and which obviously is what we just unboxed. And I've got a lot of the images from when the figure was released. So TC, now I'll go over the stats. So we have Obi-Wan Kenobi from Revenge of the Sith that we were just talking about. MMS 477, original retail price 235. I believe 478 was the deluxe version, but this is the version that I got. And I mean, let's be honest. I mean, if I got the deluxe, I'd sell all the accessories anyways. So save myself the trouble.
Yep. You love selling those accessories. So what's the point in getting a deluxe?
That's the motto. All right. So this originally went up for pre-order on March 28th, 2018. It had a Hong Kong release of April 4th, 2019. And to be honest, I want to say it was right around when Endgame was coming out was when we got this figure. I want to say it was the beginning of May. So now we are in October. It's been available for a couple months now. And this is by no means a breaking news review, but we do want to give some love to Star Wars here too. We've been awfully heavy on Marvel, and definitely want to share the love.
Yeah, I've got to mix it up. Got to, get away from all those War Machines and
how
Spider-Man figures.
How the tune has changed. We've come full circle. Those are not the words that were spoken a few episodes ago.
No. It's things. I mean, that's the thing too. Is like we try to be transparent as much as we can with our listeners, because though these are all things that we all collectors go through. I was talking to Raul on Saturday about this, and just sometimes even how fandom reacts to like the new Star Wars films, it can have a negative impact on us as collectors. But I think collecting things because you love them, because they have meaning to you. That's what really always resonate. You might, I mean, that's the problem with pre-ordering figures so far out. Like, are you still really gonna love certain films a couple years from now when you actually get the figures from there? It's a tough call. I mean, these all sound like first world problems as collectors here, but I find it interesting that a lot of the figures that I am now getting as Star Wars figures are figures I originally had on pre-order way back that I ended up canceling. I mean, Kenobi, Maul. It's getting back some of the figures I had previously with, basically all the Rays, and I don't know.
It's also the first time in years that there hasn't been that there's not a Marvel movie, coming up, in the next year or the next 10 months or so. So there's, Star Wars is in December, so the hype train's going to start building. So it kind of can get people back in the groove. On the Star Wars bandwagon.
I mean, not that there's anything really I'm looking for, but Triple Force Friday's coming up this Friday. Product releases are starting to drop for all the different manufacturers and stuff like that, and it would be kind of cool if Hot Toys would participate in that whole thing, but we know how Hot Toys is, and they don't they follow the beat of their own drum. They don't really cave to any other marketing strategy or anything.
It's whatever they want.
Oh yeah,
whatever their heart desires.
All right, so literally just showed everybody the accessories. The lightsaber hilt is fantastic. It does have one of those motion blades. The battle droid pieces that are there, I've seen some people display it. It's kind of nice, but I don't know if I'll have that because it's not necessarily the scene I'm going for. He's got his Jedi comm. Obviously, the hilt without the blade fits nicely on his belt. All the extra hands. I'm just now realizing that I had this really cool cold open for the podcast to go hello there, but I totally butchered it, and that's now an hour and 1 minute in before I even remembered where I thought I was going to be clever. But yeah, I mean, this is definitely overall, a really great figure. I can't wait to get it posed. I know he won one of the contests earlier, but PJ is fantastic about posing. He had this figure posed up, had the robe draped awesomely, just had a really good pose with him holding the lightsaber with two hands. The likeness is superb. I mean, the some of the production, the prototype stuff versus what we actually got, and the way that the lighting was. I mean, TCQ, all the haters out there, everybody thought this head sculpt was horrible. It's garbage. What did they do? When you have it in hand, I don't necessarily think it's as detailed as, like, say, the prototype was, but I'm going to start showing those. I mean, it's Ewan McGregor. It's Obi-Wan.
I mean, is there a better head sculpt by another company? I don't know. I know it's not you shouldn't always look at it like that, but to me, it was overblown. I think it looks great.
Yeah, especially this scene that this picture you're showing right now. I mean, he's the right lighting and the right angle of his head and everything makes all the difference. And yeah, you could get a customizer to do a one-off head sculpt for you that probably would look a little bit better, but I mean, you're going to pay a ridiculous amount of money, and for what? You're going to be the only one that really probably notices the difference. But yeah, he's an awesome looking figure, and it's just got me thinking, do you think we see an episode 1 Obi-Wan figure before the series comes out? Or
I honestly think we're going to get episode 1, because I definitely want to complete the Duel of Fates battle there. And I honestly think we're also going to probably get Kenobi and Anakin from Attack of the Clones as well. I think they're popular enough. Once we get the Kenobi series on Disney Plus, I think the popularity is going to spike for Kenobi again. I think people are going to go back that maybe were born after the prequels were released are going to go back and watch them for the first time. The people that grew up with the prequels are now of the age of they're starting to hit the nostalgia feels of this. I mean, we're 20 years past The Phantom Menace. I still remember going to the movie theater 4 times to see that. And just rewatching it myself, obviously it's not the perfect movie, but there's so many moments in it that they still resonate with me. So yes, I think we're going to get them. And, this photo here I'm showing was one of the prototypes. I think from the prototype to the final, I don't know if there's as much like dark definition in the, as we were expecting. But I mean, I keep coming back to when he's coming off the ramp of Padme's ship there, and he's like, "You've done this to yourself." You're right, Chris. Just the angle of this, it's down. It's full Obi-Wan sass. It's great.
Obi-Wan sass.
You haven't heard that? That's more from like the Clone Wars series where they talk about that, or maybe it's just more of a Star Wars Twitter joke or whatever. Full on Kenobi sass.
Oh, it was in full force in the Clone Wars series.
Interesting.
Yeah.
So can you buy this figure? Like, just close the question. I like this figure a lot, and I'll consider getting it. But can you buy it without the Anakin? Like, because most people would pose it with it. I just feel they kind of go in tandem, and I don't really like Anakin, so I don't really.
I think. Well, I mean, I know I was looking through the comments earlier, and the code we talked. You guys joked about Cody. I mean, you could pair Cody and Kenobi back to back. I mean, that was his battalion.
Yeah, you can. I just feel like not having Anakin in a prequel setup is just like it's just travesty. But then again, I don't like the character that much, so I don't know if I want to spend the money to get him.
Yeah, so that's the thing too. Is like regular Anakin sold out everywhere. You can't get it. You got to hit the secondary market. Kenobi on Sideshow, this figure is sold out. They still have the deluxe. I think you can still get both versions on Big Bad Toy Store. And yeah, I don't know. It's interesting. I mean, certainly just don't run out and get it. I mean, I'm your friend here. I don't want to spend your money, but I also will tell you it's a really good figure too. All right, before I kind of give my final thoughts, I wanted to kind of give a snippet of some of Roy's thoughts, and I'm going to paraphrase some of this. So he didn't think the deluxe was the must-have, but he did say that the table is a good accessory for your DTOF for setting up a scene. He wasn't a big fan of the baby Luke, and he did indicate the same thing I did about the robe. It's incredible. It poses well, and they found it's a really good material that allows for draping. He even said the same thing about the head sculpt being dependent on the lighting, and why there was a lot of controversy when it was released. He obviously, as I showed at the very beginning of the episode, and you'll also see on the artwork, obviously that's Roy's photography. He is fantastic. He does a great job. So he even tried to do the best he could without even necessarily a full setup, and I still think he captured that. Basically, with the right lighting, you sometimes lose some of that age that he had in Revenge of the Sith, and I think that's where people had some, some concerns about that. He gave it I'm going to have to stick to this because I wanted the consistency. He gave the figure a 4.75 high grounds, and he would have given it 5 if they'd done a little bit better on the aging of his paint job on his face. But, overall, I mean, that's a pretty strong endorsement. I mean, Roy's been collecting a while, and obviously he does Marvel and Star Wars. I don't know. I'm not going to abstain from voting just because I haven't really had a ton of time with it. I mean, everybody just watched while we were recording. I unboxed it. Just my initial gut feeling is I would say probably 4.5 high grounds would be my take.
It's a pretty good first impression, and always like hearing Roy's opinion. We don't get him on as much as we'd like, as far as the assembles and stuff, but definitely value his opinion. And Yeah, I mean it's great that it's still available, at retail. There's definitely, I looked on eBay, there are deals to be had with this figure. Not too far below retail, but you can find them, in that 215 to 230 range. And he's tempting. He's tempting, but the thing is, like, the Anakin isn't really, like you said, TC, it's not really calling to me. So that's why I don't think I'm going to go that route.
Yeah,
For right
that's the
now.
thing. I just really dislike Anakin as a character. I'm not. I don't know. It just is not my favorite in the saga. So I'll see what I do as well.
Yeah.
But I
No,
love
but
Obi-Wan, so I
yeah.
really want that figure too.
Yeah. See, Obi-Wan is probably my favorite character in the prequel trilogy. So that's why,
You could get
you
him
know,
with Grievous in the future, like when Hot Toys makes Grievous. You could just get him now and then act as a placeholder.
perfect.
Hello there, General Kenobi. I
Sorry,
don't know.
sound
Like,
effect.
I'm just not a huge fan of Grievous, but that's my one maybe nitpicky thing about Revenge of the
Visually
Sith.
he's cool looking, but yeah, he didn't pan out in the movies very well.
All right, guys, that brings us to the end of the episode. Kind of a different episode. I'm not sure if, depending on feedback, if we'll try that again. But I think next time out, I think we definitely want to get us reviewing Scarlet Spider. So we will be going back to Marvel. I'm gonna tell you guys right now, it's gonna rate like maybe K2SO high on my list. I just I so love that figure so much. It's just fantastic. It's easily the best Spider-Man in my collection, and just the aesthetic of it as well. So I know I'm kind of giving away some of my early review, but stay tuned because you're going to hear us glow probably about this figure, and hopefully you guys also enjoy it. Hopefully I haven't set the bar too high for when you guys get it and you're like, this sucks. Like, I hate it. What are you talking about?
Yeah, I don't think that'll be the case, but
No, I don't think so either.
Based on Jasper's photos, it looked pretty good to me.
Yeah, JV Figure Collector. He's been posting in our group, and he's a great follow on Instagram. You can tell it's a very photogenic figure, and it's ironic that it also comes with a camera as well. All right, guys, let's get into plug time. We obviously have our website and our YouTube channel. I think we're almost at 350 subscribers, so thank you everybody that's been tuning in lately. We certainly appreciate it. It helps us get the word out. We have our Facebook page. We're on Instagram, as we just mentioned. We have our private group, 6 Scavenger Collectors, that private group that we just referenced, where we pick some of those winners that those individuals are going to get some free digital movie codes. We have our Public store, 6 Scavengers, where we've got a lot of designs out there. We get a very small portion of every one of those sales that helps us pay for our hosting fees. We also have our checklist on 6 Scavengers. We've got Marvel, Star Wars, and Azimuth, Lord of the Rings, and The Hobbit. If you go and click through and you purchase a figure through that, we get a small affiliate funds for that help us also pay for those podcast hosting fees as well. We're on Apple Podcasts, Google Play, YouTube, Spotify, Stitcher, and 6scalescavengers.libsyn.com. All right, guys, episode 31. Any final thoughts before we sign off?
probably won't be doing another live unboxing, but
Yeah, it was
otherwise,
worth a shot. It wasn't as exciting as I thought it was going to be.
No, it was a good experiment, and not going to shut the door on that going forward. But yeah, great conversation. It's always fun to get breaking news right before we record, and I guess we'll just kind of see how things play out with Hot Toys and Sideshow and all these delays and releases and stuff like that. And yeah, and then also I'm supposed to be getting in some 6 scale t-shirts, so look on the group for a post. We'll be putting those up for sale, small batch for sale, but those funds will help go towards hosting fees. So check out the group for that in the next week or two.
TC?
Just thanks everybody for joining us tonight, and just a quick shout out. You also go check out the Collecting Weekly podcast in the Facebook group. Is it Collecting Weekly Ox? I'm in the group. I should know exactly what it is. But Zach and Dean head up the podcast, and they also have a couple extra shows, Small Talk and Only Fools and Collecting. So they've got 3 shows now, and they're doing great. They're worth a listen.
All right. Thanks, guys. Thanks, everybody, for tuning in, especially those that tuned in live with us. Chris, bring us home, my friend. Excelsior.